I'm back with another poem, and also I wanted to say thank you to everyone who watched the last video. I think a lot of people engaged with that one and commented, and that really means a lot to me. I think the whole purpose of this channel, I guess, is just a place where I can share my love of poetry and maybe inspire someone to read more, or connect with other people who love it as much as I do, or even just lighten someone's day with it, because there's been many a day when my day has been lightened by poetry. And yeah, I just want to share that with people. Today I've got this book, Felicity by Mary Oliver. She's one of my favorite authors ever. She's a poet. She writes essays too, but she's won the Pulitzer Prize, so she's pretty big. But the beauty of her poems is that they're so simple. They're very, she can say so much in such a few amount of lines. And I've taken a few creative writing courses at uni, and the teachers always say, like, if you can cut out all the fluff and get to the message, the core of it, that's what really hits people. That one line or two, that's where most people find meaning. Anyway, without further ado, I will read the poem, and I hope the sound is alright. I think a few people said that it's a bit quiet, and I will try to get a headphone or a mic or something, but I hope this one turns out better. I'm in a quieter room, so I can speak a bit more loudly. Anyway, here we go. Moments. There are moments that cry out to be fulfilled, like telling someone you love them, or giving your money away, all of it. Your heart is beating, isn't it? You're not in chains, are you? There is nothing more pathetic than caution when headlong might save a life, even possibly your own. And that's it. That was only 3 + 2, 5, 8 lines. That was only 8 lines. Like, look how short it is. It's very short, and it's incredible. But when I first read that, I remember, because when I buy books are quite expensive, so I don't buy a book immediately. I kind of like ponder over it, and I remember going to the bookstore, and I remember when you first think about buying a book, you don't really buy it immediately. I mean, I don't. I just look over at the blurb. I read an expert or two, and I read this poem, and it just jumped out at me. I was like, I've got to have this. I think I still remember I think it was like last year in May, and it was like a cold day, and I walked in, and it just hit me like a truck. I think one of my favorite lines here is, your heart is beating, isn't it? You're not in chains, are you? There is nothing more pathetic than caution when headlong might save a life, even possibly your own. I think it really spoke to me because I don't know, I think so many of us sometimes we kind of, I mean, I've done this a lot. We live on like autopilot, we eat the same breakfast, we see the same people, even when we get a gut feeling that this is not right, maybe the job we're working at isn't terribly rewarding or fulfilling, but we kind of just go along with it, just because obviously there's people have obligations and duties and families, and that's completely valid. But like sometimes, even though there's another choice, like another door you could go through, we don't go through that door because it's scary. We tend to, I think that's humans, we have this because our primates, we want to preserve ourselves, so we choose the easiest route. We choose the one that's the least dangerous, the least risk amount of involved, because we don't want to die. But nowadays in the modern world, we're not really threatened with mortality as much if we, day-to-day lives. But still, I think most of us, we choose the easier path. It's just sort of like a default, even easy things like going on a walk or not. We just want to stay in bed and watch a TV show because that's easy. Or, I've been thinking like joining a yoga class or a gym, but then I'm thinking, oh, it's winter, it's cold, Or this other day I thought maybe I should do a sport, but then again, my back of my mind, the default is like, it's just, come up with excuses. We always choose the easy way out. And sometimes when you do that day in and day out, you can go like quite a long number of years, and then you realize you're not where you feel right. Like the place you are isn't where you feel you're meant to be. Like it's not it doesn't feel right in your gut. Like your gut instinct is telling you that's not where you belong. You feel stuck, maybe in a marriage you don't like, or a relationship, or a job. And I think that happens because we're scared. We're really scared. I think all of us, I'm scared. And I think we're scared to take a risk, because if we're here, and even though it's uncomfortable, where we are now is comforting. Like it's easy to be in. It's familiar. And I think familiarity, while it's great, and it's lovely to have old friends and old hobbies, old passions, sometimes we get too stagnant, and we forget that life is meant to be dynamic. Nature changes all the time. There's autumn, and there's winter, and then there's summer again. It's a cycle, and everything just keeps changing, and I think we have to change with it, otherwise we get stuck and stagnant. And I think, if you have, I saw this guy say on a podcast that if you have a choice to make, he said, don't act out of fear. Like, don't act from a place of fear and self-doubt. Act from a place of courage and self-confidence. Like, do the thing that might be a bit scary, but that's right. If this job that you want to apply for that might seem like it's out of your league, you're like, oh, I'm not qualified for this. I don't have a degree, or I'm not a good writer, or I can't write well. Don't act from a place of fear. Like, don't just not apply or go for that thing because you're scared. Because you might get rejected, fair enough, but you might not. Like, you might get it. So I love that quote, that acting out of self-confidence and courage and optimism. I think that's what this poem is about. Like, don't always be cautious. I think our mock society, especially the older generations, they're always like, choose the easiest path in life, choose the easiest job, the easiest, the most stable thing. And while that's good sometimes, I think sometimes it's important to listen to your heart and your gut and take a risk, be brave. I've noticed that most times in my life, when I do something that I'm afraid of, that I don't really know how it's going to work out, but I feel in my heart that that's the right thing to do. Whenever I go for it from a place of like confidence, it always turns out okay, like not all the time. Sometimes you go ahead with something and it doesn't really work out. It kind of flops, whether that be a job or a relationship, whatever it is, kind of flops. But even so, you're a more fuller person for having tried it, like, good on you for trying it, and not just living forever with the what if. So anyway, I hope that wasn't too hefty for a Friday morning. This is one of my favorite poems in the world, and I hope it means something to you. I hope you take something out of it, even a tiny thing, even like something like changing up your coffee order, or trying a new drink, or a new pub, or talking to someone new, making new friends. So just always remember, like, this is your life, and like, you're here on this planet. I'm getting hippy dippy now, but you're here, and you have energy inside of you, and you have time, and you can help people, and you can do something. And so don't ever forget that. I think everyone is important. All lives are important. No one is more important than anyone else, and we should never forget that our lives is just as important as the next person. Sometimes I think we're often the most hardest on ourselves, and we don't give ourselves enough credit. We give everyone else, we're like, oh, she would be great for this, but we don't we don't believe that much in ourselves. Like we might believe in our kids or our parents or our siblings, but we don't show ourselves that same confidence. Like we don't confide in us that much. But yeah, I think I'll leave you with that line. There's nothing more pathetic than caution when headlong might save a life, even possibly your own. So I hope that meant something. I hope that sticks with you, and I hope you enjoyed it. All right, take care.